Cool. Hello everybody. I think we're gonna get started for our October Community Network, Seattle Community Network meeting now. Um, as a ground rules that we have, so feel free to kind of put any agenda that you like to be discussed in the agenda document that I have posted on the chat there, in the chat there. This meeting will be recorded for transparency and for those who can't attend the meeting. Also, feel free to change your Zoom name and all pronouns and anything that you would like to prefer to be changed. And also, please be respectful and have a common sense and don't speak over other people. And that's just general rules that are listed on the document. Just want to go over that real quick. Yeah, I think we've done introduction. Any other ground rules that we would like to add, please feel free to add that in the document on the first row there. Then we go on the introduction. Do we want to go over the status first, or how you like to see this going along, Esther?
Okay, so since we do have new people, I guess high level overview is in order.
Okay.
So basically we are a group of mostly volunteers. Some people are quote unquote digital stewards who are employed by the Black Brilliance Research Project to work on this project. Sorry, got some noise here. So the project was initially funded by King County at the start of COVID to establish 3 open source cell network sites in low-income areas like around Seattle and King County. So we started out with like money for 3 sites, which would give internet access to roughly the neighborhood surrounding a building where we would mount wireless equipment on the roof. And so we started out like last November trying to find or partners to deploy this equipment on their buildings. And these are sort of very small scale cell sites that we usually use in rural areas in like low resource regions to create a sort of wireless ISP using like cell phone service. So our towers are like 4G LTE cell towers that serve internet access. And so of those 3 sites that we got funding for, we've deployed 2 so far. So one is at the Filipino Community Center, and our first users are on that site at Catherine's Place, which is a low-income housing complex across the street. And that's in South Seattle. Then there's the Skyway Library, which the site is deployed, but it doesn't have users yet. And then the 3rd site is hopefully going to be the Kent Hillside Church in Kent, but we haven't confirmed like a source of what we refer to as backhaul or like internet connectivity upstream from the site that our cellular tower would hook into. So we are still kind of working on that site. So we also got funding for 2 more sites from the city of Seattle. So that is at the Seattle Public Schools locations, Garfield High School and Franklin High School. And so Garfield High School, we actually deployed just this past weekend. And that site is fully functional and ready for users, but it doesn't have any users yet. Those users will be recruited primarily through the school, like to be families of students. And then the second school we have mostly deployed, but we have to finalize it this coming weekend, and that's Franklin High School. And so that is very closely in partnership with the Seattle Public Schools IT. And so they're, controlling most of the parameters of those installations, like, who, I guess, who is allowed on site, like who is going to be receiving service from those locations, et cetera. Yeah, and the purpose is to fund is to get internet access out to the public, especially people who are low income and like can't afford reliable service, or are in various circumstances like homelessness, or in low income housing that might not have good internet options. So yeah, that's kind of the overview. I guess, yeah, any other, like, any questions or other updates that people wanted to share? Cool. So I know that we have a bunch of progress on a like sort of sub projects, because we are sort of, as we are almost finished deploying all of the sites that we had funding for. We have things like user support processes, and there's like also a sub project to get some help desks going. So if we could go around and do any status updates about that, that would be great.
This month, I think it was, yeah, since the last community meeting, we had a meeting where we kind of like reviewed a draft user support process, and yeah, I think that we're kind of waiting on exactly how we're going to structure staffing for that, whether it's going to be volunteers or some other resource or community partnership that we're working with. Yeah. And the other thing was that Shreya, I guess, yes, started scheduling for a weekly support meeting that the people who are going to be kind of like working support can sync up every week and kind of like keep on track with that. So that's pretty important.
Yeah, I think so if you're interested in any kind of like user support, please join #support, the Slack channel, where we're currently organizing or like trying to schedule this weekly meeting. Yeah, because we had a weekly meeting time scheduled, but Shoria can't make it, so I guess it might still be the best time. I think it was Tuesday 4 to 4:30. Yeah, so I guess we'll see. I think it's between 4 p.m. on Wednesday and 4 p.m. on Friday. Are the two best options right now. So we just have to finish scheduling that. But the when to meet is on there. Maybe we should add it to the notes in case people are like excited about user support processes, which is probably one of the most important functions in the network ultimately. So I think one important thing that we're kind of stuck on is right now. So I just created mailing lists that a mailing list that will forward all of the emails to our help email address, which is help@seattlecommunitynetwork.org, to a group of people who have sort of stated that they're ready to receive help emails. So that is the Google group. So help workers at seattlecommunitynetwork.org, which I think you can just like request to add yourself to. So currently the people who are on that is like, me, Fern, Joe, Michael, Jonathan, Adam, who's not here, and maybe a couple of other people, probably Shoria. And yeah, so the emails will go there. I think we still have to create a sign up sheet for somehow for like shifts on like some of our help channels, and we're gonna set up stuff like an SMS. Let's see, how do you request to be added to this list? Let's see if I can find the link for that. So what happens when you go to this link?
There's
that-
a ask to join group button.
Is that, yeah, is that working for people?
It pops up a window asking for information.
Mm. Wait, it pops up asking for a login, is that right?
Well, I'm logged in with my Google account, so it just asks me like what I want my display name to be and for like a little reason for wanting to join.
I guess that's,
So I think
that's,
I sent a request.
oh, there's, oh, okay, so it sent the request, and then, let's see if I got that request. Well, I think, oh, there we go, yeah. So I just approved the request. And that's it. You should be on the list. Okay, so that's for help workers. And then there's another list that I made called monitoring workers, which I think like basically that will send the alerts for when the Libre NMS monitoring system, like the remote monitoring system, has alerts. Like actually the system made some alerts yesterday that I didn't catch because the mailing list wasn't set up. And so I set that up today. It turns out that like, I think there was a power surge in the area and the Filipino Community Center network went down. So actually I asked Chris today to reboot or to turn the machine back on, because I had gotten a bunch of alerts, but then didn't see them until the mailing list was set up. And how I found out about the outage was someone from Catherine's place actually emailed me. So that was interesting. But yeah, the system is back up, and I think like basically we need to I think we just need to set a BIOS setting that will allow the machine to boot back up upon power loss, like without having the button pressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that with that email set up, it's going to be pretty spammy. So if I get a chance, I'm going to go into the Libre NMS and see if I can't turn off a bunch of the alerts. I assume we probably mostly want to know about a node is down.
Yeah.
Urgently.
Yeah, I think so. I do think though that the best solution is maybe for like alerts to go into a folder, like you should set it up on your end, because then even if the system is a little spammy, like it'll still like, you know, put some tag on it and just make sure to check it every so often.
Yeah, we can maybe tag it by like alert priority or whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Yeah, Adam is not at this meeting, but I think Adam was tasked with figuring out the SMS system for us, so somebody still has to bother him about that. And if anyone is particularly interested in like network monitoring, we actually have an undergrad who is working on potentially switching us over to Prometheus if that system ends up working better. So his name is Howard. He's super great. He's like taking a class that I'm teaching on community networks this quarter at UW. Yeah, he's working on that as his class final project. And so if anyone would like to kind of get more involved with the remote monitoring side, like detecting problems, maybe even before they occur, yeah, just let me know. Let's see. So I guess does anyone have other updates on sort of like sub projects they're working on? So I know one thing that has sort of been pushed to the back burner, but is still like important, is like, you know, this week we have to finish up all of the Seattle Public Schools installs. So until Friday, that's kind of like on the front burner. But we still need to finish like testing and fully deploying the wireless access points, the MikroTik. So in addition to our cell towers, we're gonna have like these MikroTik outdoor Wi-Fi routers attached to our sites. And Fern was working on the captive portal for that. Yeah. So next week we should figure out like, yeah, just after the Franklin deployment this Friday, we should figure out like how to run the captive portal website on like our cloud, for example, or some other like hosting service that's not just the local router. Also, I know that a bunch of you all, or at least Jonathan, probably still has a MikroTik router.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's probably okay to hang on to those for now, but eventually we will want to, you know, deploy them.
Yeah, for sure. It's literally just I put it back in the box. So until we need to use it again or we need to use it to be deployed. Yeah, no problem.
Cool. Let's see. So there's other important updates, like there's the Youth Digital Stewards Program, which is a teaching program to get youth into technology through the through kind of the activity of community networking, and in addition to technology, also like give them practice doing community organizing. So that program is actually starting on November 9th. Is that right? Tuesday of that week?
I think so. I'm double check. It's the 8th or 9th, but I think you're right. I think it is the 9th.
I think it's the 7th actually, because it's Tuesday, Thursday. Sorry, I got that wrong. Yeah, so Oh yeah, sorry. So the Youth Digital Stewards Program is going to primarily involve, to my knowledge, some students from Franklin and Garfield high schools where we did those network deployments. And I mean, there might be some from other schools too, depending on who gets recruited by our like partner orgs, Black Brilliance Research and API Chaya. I think there will be around 11 students in the first cohort, and 3 of them ish may be from Kent. So that is the status on that. This is something that we'll talk about actually in the hour right after this hour. We have our meeting about that project. And like, I got news. So we've been struggling kind of to find funding for this program, but I heard recently, just like today, that the No Starch Press grant for 10K to fund the equipment, like the students' computing equipment for the program, may get funded. Like, we're going to have a meeting with them to answer some follow-up questions. And so that's happening this week. Oh, thanks, Vern. Yeah.
Or in the day, just to say, the first day is the 9th.
Oh, it is?
The 9th of November is a Tuesday.
Okay, why is my calendar off? You're right. Yes, it is the 9th. Sorry. Okay.
It happens.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, and that will be, so 2 classes a week, 90 minutes each, Tuesday, Thursday, from what was it? 5 to 6:30 p.m. So it's an after school program. Most of our instructor slots are filled up to like week 8 or so. But then after that, we'll have sort of informal or like project-based sessions where students will be working on like a, sort of hacking on their own project, and we will sort of be advisors. So I imagine that there will be room for like, open-ended kind of lab hours or office hours, where I can imagine like a bunch of, knowledgeable like community volunteers could definitely help out with projects, and could be like a valuable resource. Yeah, so, just thinking about that. I definitely think that, like, I don't know, at least for me, setting up these kinds of like mentoring relationships, related to technology, like with, UW students or like other kind of, tech experts in the community would be really great for some of these students. So yeah, I think that this is a nice thing if you're looking to volunteer in that way. And okay, so there's another thing where I'm teaching a class, like an undergrad class on community networking. It's an engineering capstone, so each of the students has to do some kind of like a final engineering project. And so that undergrad Howard is doing sort of the monitoring system, and a couple of other students are actually joining to joining the deployments to learn more about how to deploy network and like help write up documentation. So, they might not be doing most of the work, like, because they're still learning, so they might be mostly observing, but they will be writing up documentation about like what the activities all are, so that we can make better training materials. So that's one of the activities that they'll be helping with. And yeah, they may come up with projects as well.
I think it's get dropped off. She might accidentally press the wrong button. There you go.
Sorry about that. Um, yeah, so I guess, can anyone else think of any other updates they want to talk about?
I guess the one update that I could add is on the 3rd of November, I think is the day. Stacy Wedlake and myself are going to present to some Seattle Public Library regional managers about the work that we're doing and possibly pitching some type of almost like a discotheque kind of resource center type plan, even if it's something that's, moving from library to library to where people in the community can come and get technical assistance for technology, use the lab spaces, stuff of that nature, similar for those that are familiar or not familiar with, similar to the work that used to be in some of the community centers like Rainier Beach, Yesler, Delridge, and South Park. They all had rec tech labs. So we'd basically kind of be doing a traveling lab similar to that in some of the libraries. So that's on November the 3rd, if memory serves me correct. Stacy Wedlake and myself are going to present to some Seattle Public Library people about having such a, like a traveling kind of lab thing throughout the city.
And that's super awesome.
I have a quick question. I've seen some advertisements, like in the link, when you go on the link, there's like an advertisement, once you enter, it's always like on the left, on the right of the door. And I've seen some advertisement from SPL about like educational STEM and stuff like that. So I'm just wondering if we can have some, I don't know, if we, at the end, if we decided to kind of partner with SPL, is that something that possible to do, to maybe advertise something about our project, or even the U Digital Steward classes that we are running, or even the traveling clinic that we are thinking of, the tech clinic? Just in case, if you wanna kind of bring that up, if we have an opportunity to do so.
Yeah, I imagine if the Seattle Public Libraries wants to partner with us to like do any of these clinics, then like hopefully they would be able to put some resources into publicizing them so that people will come. Yeah, so is that, I imagine that meeting is actually not public, so you all can just, update us as to how it goes.
Yes, we'll do. Yeah, we haven't ironed it out completely exactly yet. But yeah, it's definitely when we were kind of figuring out exactly what we're going to say, we're going to bring it to you all just to make sure we hit some of the key points about the work that it is that we do, so that we don't leave anything, no stone uncovered, so to speak. And yeah, once we do it, we will be sure to report back how it went.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think this is the kind of thing that fits well with the whole digital navigators like idea that people are looking to fund. Because yeah, the digital navigators work is to kind of help with like community technical capacity, like on a very basic level, which yeah, if our digital stewards program can like fill part of that need, then they also can get digital navigators funding.
Exactly. Exactly. And I know some of the stuff that we've talked about, that is kind of the need that they would serve within kind of their own community hubs, servicing the technology that's at their sites and their community network. So yeah, if this is a way that we could kind of get some of our digital stewards into the community, that's definitely kind of the angle I'm looking at it as. So yeah, like I said, hopefully it goes well. I imagine it will, but you never know. But yeah, once it happens, I'll be sure to report and let everybody know how it went.
Awesome.
I'm kind of curious, sorry, one more thing about the digital navigators. Have we considered incorporating locals, like in their own local communities, to help with these at all? Are there like a plan that we are towards that by any chance?
So you mean like, instead of having just the traveling clinics like at the libraries, also kind of at each neighborhood having like point people who,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I think that's a good idea, especially, so I know at the Filipino Community Center, the person, like the user at Catherine's Place who's been contacting me whenever the site is down, his name is John Daly. He's like, he is a 20-year-old like person, just I guess he is not in school and he's kind of like struggling to figure out what he's doing with his life. But he has like a lot of technical, like kind of just general savvy, not like training in particular, but yeah, that's the type of person that I imagine could be a resource for like his local community. So yeah, if like those kinds of people could be somehow brought into the fold, for like through the community clinics somehow, that would be interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's exactly the same thing that I was just kind of curious about. Actually, me and Chris were having this conversation earlier when we were doing installation, and we were just kind of brainstorming on how this could work. And I think it was like it would be very helpful if we have like the local community come first thing first. I get we gain more trust if we actually have locals with us, right? To help first advertise, second to help their their neighbors and stuff like that. So there's like that trust element there that we don't have, especially like we are from, I don't know, UW or other orgs that they don't know about. So I was just thinking that is a really good idea if we actually incorporate the locals who actually like live there nearby to kind of help out, not just like tech issue. We can digital navigator, we can like kind of define what is digital navigator could do, but yeah, not restrictly just the tech. I think we still need to expand our outreach as well. So right now that we kind of like been struggling a little bit just because we don't have a good outreach team kind of to actually get to the local community themselves. So these digital navigator, if we can actually incorporate them from the local community, could be very, very helpful.
Awesome. Yeah, I guess, so question for you, Jonathan. When people were coming to you in like the previous iteration of like RecTech, did you ever meet people, or like was there any kind of mechanism by which like people could learn from you how to do stuff and then kind of come to help out at the clinic or like work for you somehow? You're muted. Sorry.
So silly. It happens. When you were saying in terms of the mechanism to which they came to work with me, do you mean like, are you referring to like the portal in which people became like volunteers kind of thing? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, something like that.
So we did towards the end, before kind of the program was shuttered, unfortunately, by the closing that, by the pandemic that closed very many things. We did kind of start establishing like a volunteer type of program, but we never had anything that was too concrete. Yeah, and even then it was more so like, hey, everybody, let people know, there's volunteer opportunities. And when they came and they were interested in such opportunities, we then had to kind of go through because, it was with ARC, so more or less city of Seattle. So, we kind of had to go through the stringent, like, city of Seattle kind of um onboarding process, whether it's all the background check, all that information. But there wasn't any standard like, here is how we recruit volunteers or anything like that. There was nothing like that really established. It was all pretty much, the work that we did was all pretty much through me. So, we had drop-ins, people just came in and I helped them kind of on a, one-on-one basis, have classes. I developed the class, market the class, people would come in during those designated class times. Whether that was classes for adults and seniors during the day or for youth and young adults after kind of middle school, high school hours. So, but it was pretty much all me. And again, like I said, as far as the volunteers, it wasn't anything standard.
Yeah, I mean, do you think like as part of this kind of expansion of the program or kind of like the new iteration of this program, do you think that that kind of thing could be helpful? Like if we created a process for volunteer onboarding or yeah, like getting other people to help you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think one of the things that we're trying to establish with the work that we do is not only be able to, like, you know, improve access and improve technology and technical ability, but if we can also, I think recognize and uplift assets within the community that we're trying to serve. If someone has that will and drive to be a volunteer and already has the interest in those things, I can't see any downside into having some type of established program or system to kind of locate those volunteers and to allow those volunteers to again be assets within the community, the work that we're doing. So yeah, that again, that's one of those things we kind of just scratched the surface with it, but I would definitely think it would be a good thing for us to have.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder because there is so much funding for digital navigators these days, like I wonder if we could set up kind of a volunteer program with a stipend. Like because it would be, I mean it wouldn't be as beneficial, of course, as like actually a wage, but I feel like this would be an easier thing to like get people kind of quickly onboarded onto and like provide kind of supporting income as opposed to because like if you try to like hire someone full time, I think that's just like a lot harder. They like they depend on you so much that you like once you run out of funding, like you're kind of everyone is screwed in that situation. So I'm wondering, yeah, it would be really nice to have some sort of stipend just because I know there's funding. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and I also think the benefits with that also is being with the way a lot of the work kind of happens. You kind of have times when there's like a lot of a need. There might be certain days, certain times. So I think you can kind of better utilize volunteer on like a stipend type of basis. If it's like, hey, every Wednesday we're getting this crowd, or every certain times during these hours. I don't know how well it would fit to be like, oh, you can be a full-time this, especially if there's already one or two people that's kind of managing the site. I don't know if you're necessarily going to have space for like a whole nother full-time person, but I could definitely see the benefits of like, hey, especially when you recognize that there's peak times or peak hours or peak interest, to be able to utilize volunteers in the most efficient way possible. I can see the stipend, and that would just be another incentive for people to do that type of work. Yeah, I can, if that's something that would even be a possibility, I can see that being a cool thing. And again, like I said, the times, the days, they're pretty fluid, I find, with the work that I did. Volunteers could have been used best like after school hours or certain times when we have kind of these like rush of seniors. So yeah, I can see that for sure.
Yeah, if you have any, like, I think like your experience and knowledge with the like when the peak times tend to be would be super helpful and kind of like planning out when shifts should be.
For sure. Yeah, I can definitely put that together. Um, yeah, just based on my own experience, kind of what times would make the most sense to have volunteers and additional people to chip in.
Quick question about like the original rec tech, like were you paid to do that?
Yes, I was full time with the Associated Recreation Council, which is another confusing explanation. I told most people I was just with City of Seattle because when you try to explain to them how Rec Tech isn't the City of Seattle, but you're in a City of Seattle site and you abide by City of Seattle rules, but it can be a kind of a weird thing to explain to people. But yeah, I was a full time um Associated Recreation Council employee, but my site was based, me and all my coworker sites were all based within these labs that were established within these community centers. And the technology was ARC technology. So like I was inside the Rainier Community Center with ARC computers, and I was an ARC employee, and I was open during City Seattle hours, community center hours. It could be confusing, but yeah, that's kind of slightly. So yeah, technically full-time employee with ARC, but again, I would just tell people City of Seattle because it's too hard to explain to people. And my email was City of Seattle, so
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, that's good to know. I think yeah, then I mean it seems like so the new like traveling clinic, would that be um like a job that you would have under BBR or something else?
I'm not sure because I think it all kind of depends on how it is that we establish it. If it's something to where it's like I kind of oversee some of them and we put people in those spots, or for something, but then I think it also depends on the frequency of it. Um, Admittedly, when you have kind of like community centers that are open with these tech labs all the time, the hours do fluctuate. There'd be like some peaks after school, certain days, tons of kids. Sometimes there'd be slower times. Sometimes in the earlier days around noon and 1, some days I'd have like rushes of seniors. So I think it depends. I mean, if it was something that we did once or twice a week, or once a week, or every other week, then it might be something I could easily do myself. But if it was something in a perfect world to where we had tons of turnout all the time, every day, then it might just be something that I help manage and put together. So yeah, there's nothing really set in stone.
Cool. I guess in the last 5 minutes, is there anything else that people wanted to discuss? Otherwise, I can give like a couple of quick final updates.
I have a quick question on the funding for Digital Navigator. How do we get these funding? Like, what is the process? Because I think it will be much more solid discussion if we actually have funding and then we recruit people.
So I'm imagining that like this pitch to the libraries could like help, if the libraries already have funding, because I know that libraries have some, like, I think initially Digital Navigators funding was given to libraries so that they could do something with it. And so maybe the libraries have the funding to give. Otherwise, I recently just heard about a grant from through Althea. Althea is applying to a grant for Digital Navigators. And they said, oh, hey, like UW folks, do you want to jump onto this grant with anything? So I was gonna like try to slide something in there. So yeah, that's we got invited to like help out with this grant. I'm not 100% sure it will go through. But yeah. So there are these opportunities to look out for. I guess the other a couple of other quick things. So we are almost ready with the Franklin High School back hall through UW Harborview building. So that like I think the UW IT is finalizing setting up that back hall for us this week. And then also we are almost ready. We have to finish doing some network security best practices at the Tacoma, like UW building that we're getting our internet access through for the Surge Tacoma site. So we have to do that. And finally, the Oromo Cultural Center in Rainier Beach has decided to finally like move forward with the application for free backhaul internet connection from the city of Seattle for a community network site. So now that they have submitted this application, once they get approved for that, the backhaul can be installed by CenturyLink, and then we'll be able to move forward in potentially installing a site there. Yeah. I guess we're also thinking about like expanding our Filipino Community Center site to another sector on top of their taller building, like right next door to the main community center. So like I'm talking to Chris Larson, who works at the Filipino Community Center, about setting up a wireless point-to-point link to share our internet connection from the main community center to the second building. And then that would be attached to another cell tower there. So those are all kind of technical, things that people should, help out on if they feel like it. Any final thoughts?
Installation coming up this Friday. Just want to restate it that actually at Franklin High School. So I think we are planning for 9:30 as we did last time. So you'll come to join. Do you mind, Esther, to restate the task that needs to be done on this Friday?
This is actually going to be very quick. I think we just need to mount the cell equipment on the pole, which is already set up there. We do need to like crimp, do some of the power cable crimping so that we can plug in our base station outside. And I think most of our lightning arresters are already installed in place. So we don't have to do much. We might be done before lunchtime.
I have a question. So on the calendar, it listed it's on October 30th. Was that on Friday or Saturday for the Franklin High School event?
We had I had both Friday and Saturday like booked as tentative, but then given how little we have to do, I don't think it will take both days. And it was also I like was trying to hedge for the weather. So the like the Saturday date was kind of an alternate in case it was going to rain, but it looks like I actually didn't see the most recent weather report. Oh, okay. So Friday is actually looking like rain and Saturday is looking like sun. There's a chance in that case that it might be Saturday instead of Friday. So I will update you all if that happens.
Thank you.
Cool. Okay, I gotta run to another meeting. But you're all welcome to stay on and chat if you want. But I will head out.
Yes, likewise. It's been great talking to everyone. I have to head off to another meeting as well. See everyone soon.
Bye.
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. Nice to meet you.